Let us begin at the beginning. So, well, how can you do that? Well, we'll do it just like the writer in the Bible did it. We just say in the beginning. Because when we examine that, it's not really a clear picture. If you ask someone who studied the Bible, say, when the Bible opens up, what happened in the beginning? What's the very first thing that happened? God created the heaven and earth. Now, that's not true. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth, right? Heaven and earth wasn't the first thing that happened. It said, in the beginning, God. There's the first thing. That is the first thing. Then came the heaven and the earth. So, when we talk about the history of the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Islam is the assembly of a people into what is called a nation to submit themselves, agree among themselves to submit themselves entirely to the will of God. So, to study the history of the Nation of Islam, you have to begin with what the nation is founded on, which is Islam. And when you study the history of Islam, where do you begin? What is the birth record of said Nation of Islam? Okay? Doesn't say it doesn't have a birth. Doesn't say it was not born. Says it doesn't have a birth record. There's a whole lot of folks right here in New York City don't have birth records. Born out there in the sticks somewhere, didn't get a birth certificate, didn't go to the hospital, and they got no birth record, but you here, ain't you? Can't nobody say you were not born, because they know the only way you got here is that you were born. Therefore, you were born. Record or no record. Well, then why is there not a record? Well, what is Islam? Did Islam start 1,400 years ago, as some of the Arabs refer to Prophet Muhammad as the holy founder, as if he founded a new religion? The Holy Quran does not say that. The Holy Quran says that the religion that Muhammad brought was the same religion that Abraham, Jacob, Jesus, Moses, and all the rest of the prophets had. But why is it that before then, none of them ever named a religion? Abraham never named a religion. Read his history. He never named a religion. Moses never named a religion. Jesus never named a religion. Only Muhammad. When Allah revealed to him that he had perfected the religion for us, only then did he name it. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says you don't trace a religion by its name or by using a calendar. You do it by how old is its precept? How old are the concepts? Islam means entire submission to the will of God. When did submission to the will of God start? When did anything start submitting to the will of God? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad again says, Islam is as old as God himself, and God is the author of it. So when God started, Islam started. Because when God started, he started submitting to his own will, to no other will but his own. Say, God submitting to anything? Yes. If he makes a law, he got to be the first law keeper. That's the difference between God and the devil. The devil sets up laws and then he purposely breaks them because he has the right to, because he's the maker of the law. That's why you see police cars running red lights and they ain't going nowhere. You know, speeding down the street. You know, if it's dangerous for me to go 50 in a 20 mile zone, then it's dangerous for him to go 50 in a 20 mile zone. Because he got lights on his car, that don't make it no less dangerous. He can still kill somebody. In fact, they have several times just in the last year here in New York City. Okay? But that's the difference. But when God makes a law, he does not break that law. He is the example. All right. So then, what is the birth record then of God? Can't do it. How long ago was that God created himself? Can't tell. Why can't you tell? Secret? No, don't know. Why don't you know? Because he didn't know. See, you and I come from good stock. When you find some of us who don't know exactly how old we are, that's good. The Creator didn't know exactly how old he was either. Why? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that because when he started the motion to create himself, that set time. Time is motion. Time is nothing but a measure of motion. Every way you measure time, you're measuring the motion of something, the earth, the sun, stars, and so forth. So all time is nothing but a measure of motion. So he set time into play from the beginning. But there was some time elapsed before he set up a mechanism to measure time. And once he set up the mechanism to measure time, he could not measure it backwards because there was no mechanism before then. So he could only begin then, and so therefore time began then. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that yes, the black man had a beginning, but it was so long ago that time itself has erased it. Time erased. When? Because there was no mechanism to time it until God set it up. Therefore, everything that happened before this, it happened, but you can't measure how long. You don't know whether it was an hour, a day, or 50 trillion years, because there was no way to measure it up until he set up the measure. That's why we don't have a birth record. Our record only goes back to the beginning of time, and we existed before the beginning of time. Okay.